So we start the meeting with an open session to allow members of the public to speak. As I mentioned, you have 3 minutes to speak on any subject you want, actually. But as it's on the agenda further down, we can address that one first. But anyway, you got your 3 minutes with a few things we have to go through, and then we'll come to that application. Okay, so over to you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Tonight I want to talk about planning permission that has come up on Farley on Hepworth. I'd really like to start with communication, a little bit of historical background to bring you up to date with where I am as well, the application, and my wife would like to speak on the planning statement. Communications for a start. I've received no communications from any landowners, any applicants, any agents. There have been no site notices or advertisements which have taken up directly with Kirklees, and they say they will be put up. And the only reason that I'm here today is that I got a heads up from a neighbour who had a letter to his door from Kirklees indicating he got a planning application for removal of equine buildings and structures and the erection of a detached dwelling on landlocked land which is accessed through my fields. Without my neighbour acting in accordance with keeping me informed, my wife and I will be here tonight. I won't be able to make much representation, so I'd like you just to keep that in mind as I kind of share my other information with you. My interest, I own 3 fields to the east and south of the landlocked Greenbelt field, which is the subject of the application.
Is yours the one with a footpath in?
No, there isn't a footpath on mine. It's just mine is the one that has or provides the right of access between Farley and the field of the plant.
Just below the football field, just side of the road, Joe.
Right, yeah, okay.
Okay, my wife and
I know where it is, I know where this piece of land is, yeah.
Right, so my wife and I own the land providing the easement and right of access from Farley to the gate of the proposed development area. We've owned all the land for 25 years. We utilise the land for grazing of sheep and for taking of hay. Our agricultural holding number includes the access field and the land. The application impacts on our land as the area for proposed development has an easement of access, and this easement has been used by the landowners to access their land to enable their horses to graze and to take the land for hay. They've had that easement since 1993. As a landowner, I've got responsibilities and accountabilities to maintain the access gateway onto Farley and to keep the access safe, and to make sure it's secure and maintained for purpose. At all times, I share 50% of the maintenance costs of the access cart track with the owners of the land. The access and that gate onto Farley allows me and my wife access to our sheep, to graze the sheep, and to take hay on the 2 fields that require that access. The application in itself, because I have no communications, I've done a lot of research with regard to this application. I'd like to just share that with you. In 1993, the landowners on the area for application made application for erection of stables to Kirklees Farm, and it was rejected. The appeal was relaunched in 1994, and again it was rejected. The landowners then illegally developed horse stables on that land in the period between 1995 and 2005. The landowners additionally developed storage buildings and finally a barn on the land, all of which were completed by 2013, and they are illegal as they are not covered by planning permission. Hardcore was applied to those building areas between the times of 2020 and 2022.
Yes, it were, because I remember him doing that.
Right. It's clearly demonstrated by the application process, first for a certificate of lawful development, and now an application for planning to change the illegally developed structures into a domestic dwelling, that a structured stepping stone approach has been developed to achieve development of the Greenbelt land. The COL, or the Certificate of Legal Development, has developed for the existing equine structures and use of land was applied for this year in 2024. People have come before this committee. After a period of 10 years elapsed following construction of the illegally constructed buildings, it was approved on the 4th of July of this year. On the 13th of August 2024, which is 5 weeks after that COL was approved, a planning proposal was submitted for removal of the equine buildings and structures and erection of a detached building. The issue of the COL on the land has enabled the equine use and structure of the land to be achieved with what's called the brownfield status within the Greenbelt. And the applicants are now seeking to use this, I'm going to call it a loophole, in the planning policy to enable equine structures and brownfield land categorisation to be converted into a domestic dwelling. Note was to be made that outside the planning application there's no mention or use of the future development of the land outside the domestic dwelling. There's still some 2.5 to 3 acres of land left in that field. And given the fact that the owners have grazed horses on there for 34 years, I can only assume that they aim to achieve their development into a domestic property, and then, again, the stepping stone approach, they'll probably apply for equine structures, yeah, to provide shelter for their animals. The application, this is my key issue. The key issue and concern for me is the access between Far Lane and the landlocked area of the development. There's been no communication or discussion with ourselves, my wife and myself. The plans developed for the application and attached to the planning application show the access track on my land to be redlined and therefore to be the subject of part of the planning permission. The redlined area, which is my land, is not identified under section 25 of the planning application form. And that section 25 deals with ownership certificates and agricultural land declarations under my ownership. This section in the application is very important and forms part of the legal certification of the application under the Town and Country Planning Order 2015. This form has been certified by the applicant and agent that, I'm going to use the term in parentheses, nobody except the applicant was owner of any part of the land or building to which the application relates, and that none of the land to which the application relates is or part of an agricultural holding. The area outlined in red on the drawings that are attached to this planning, which shows the access is owned by my wife and I, forms part of our agricultural holding, and therefore the application is unlawful, and I wish to fully contest the application. Additionally, the application form has a declaration which is signed and certified that the form and accompanying drawings are true and accurate, and all opinions given are genuine opinions of those providing the information. Again, that declaration is false, and it contests the application, which is not legally correct. I realise that the information I've provided with you tonight will be new to you, and therefore I just ask for your consideration. When you're thinking about it, you may want to think about what I've said in terms of the legality or illegality of that, and you may need to take your counsel on that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Are we doing standing order?
Yeah, we'll just go through
You can speak as well, Sam.
Yes, is that what, is that?
Oh, yeah.
I'm with my croaky voice, I'm sorry.
Go for it. Whereabouts do you live then?
Hepworth, Mugget Lane, Hepworth, right in the middle of in the lane.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so these are my contest issues with the planning statement. So this is a development for a domestic property in the Greenbelt. The application seeks approval for the erection of a standalone, detached, domestic property and garden as a replacement structure to replace existing buildings illegally constructed on the land. This has only been made possible because a COL has been issued and as a consequence has deemed the equine land use as brownfield. A replacement structure for equine installations and its use, close bracket, is not a domestic dwelling, which seeks to replace shelter for horses with human accommodation. This is not a replacement structure. Kirklees Local Plan Policy LP 57 suggests that in proposals for extensions, alterations or replacements of buildings in the Greenbelt, it would normally be acceptable, provided that for replacement buildings, the new building must be the same use as, and not materially larger than the building replacing it. the proposal does not result in greater impact on the openness of the outdoor areas, including hard standings, curtilage, enclosures and means of access. Taking both these points, the replacement building is not for equine use, but is a domestic dwelling. It therefore does not pass the test of, quote, same use. The proposal results in significant additional movements and impacts on the means of access, which is through our land. The proposal contends to use the existing access, which for the last 31 years has been accessed only for horses, for grazing and for taking hay. It's purely a cart track. And they're expecting it to be used for all vehicle movements. The proposal suggests movements will be less than in the past. This is totally inappropriate and incorrect. It's assumed, as my husband said, that horse grazing, etc. will continue at the site, so the traffic from the horses and the equine business will remain the same. Add on to that the daily domestic movements from a family-sized domestic dwelling. Then add on to that access from the Amazon, DPD, the postman, construction traffic right at the minute, right at the start, emptying the Clark Jester, the bin men, servicing and maintaining the domestic property. We contest that we say that our personal estimation is that traffic up the access way, our field access to our agricultural holding, will double or triple at a minimum. The additional wear and tear on the easement track will be significant, and as my husband mentioned, we have a burden to maintain this 50% of the cost, plus a responsibility to maintain its safety. This additional burden is not acceptable to us and not acceptable under LP 57 as it has a greater impact. The proposal under the planning policy section, LP 3, location of development, indicates the proposal aim is to rejuvenate an existing poor quality site because it is now classified as a brownfield through their illegal building of structures. Subsequent application and issue of a COL. The area is not a poor quality site. It is greenbelt, good quality grazing land and can continue to be good quality in perpetuity without additional development or illegal constructions. The proposal under planning policy section LP 28, drainage, indicates that foul drainage will be treated by a Clargester biodisc treatment plant. What the proposal fails to mention is that in the majority of such installations, the clear water discharge from the treatment plant requires routing to a watercourse for dilution. The proposed land has no watercourse and the discharge will need routing from this landlocked area to the watercourse along Far Lane. There are no details of where the routing for such drainage will be. In addition, all the other essential utilities for a domestic dwelling, such as water, electricity, broadband, drainage, are omitted from the submission. There are no services to the existing land and all will have to be supplied. However, the proposal does not indicate a routing or communicate any form of agreements that have been sought or achieved with local landowners to get access to Far Lane for the services. The proposal outlines a planning assessment where it contends it is acceptable to build in the green belt, the positive impact it has on openness, the character and appearance of the site to the surrounding area. This assertion of the applicant's position aims to provide limited advantages of the proposal. From a local inhabitant's position, it does not reduce, in brackets, massing of the built form or prevent sprawl. It actually creates it. The development is suggested to reduce the, in brackets, impact on openness of the greenbelt by condensing the existing footprint, whereas in reality and practicality, it will significantly increase the impact by being the first standalone detached domestic dwelling with garden on the west of Far Lane inside the Greenbelt. The impact will also, the impact both visually during the day and at night from illumination, not only from security lights, etc., garden lights, but also from car headlights running up and down the track, from the surrounding elevated areas, will have a massive obvious intrusion, and you can see it clearly, which the applicants only say it can't be seen from the main road, but everywhere else you can see it. The proposal contends it will return part of the land to its original grassland and open state, providing a provision of openness, whilst in fact the proposal provides no focus or statement or change to the original grassland, and it only discusses change from an illegal required buildings to a domestic dwelling. I do not accept the contestations stated in the sections of the planning assessment and read them as erroneous and incorrect. The proposal states that it is not thought there will be any change to the degree of activity as a result of the proposals. This is clearly incorrect, and I've covered this early on. The proposal states in the impact on highway safety that, in brackets, the dwelling would continue to use the existing access from Far Lane, and that the entrance enables domestic vehicles to enter and exit the development area. The existing access rights for the landlocked area for the proposed development are via easement, and that right of access is to allow access to graze horses and other agricultural practices on the field. It is not an easement or a right of access for a domestic property or domestic vehicles. This area of the proposal is factually incorrect. So, if any questions, I'm very happy
Can we
to
answer
answer them.
questions?
We'll come to it when we've just gone through the
Don't
rest of the...
disappear, I have some questions.
Just,
I could calm down now. Sorry, I've got braces on. I think I'm
It's
speaking
not,
out with
you've
all
got,
that
the
stuff.
problem is that I have a dwelling past similar to this. But Paul Matthew won't pass it for me. So that'll be interesting. Go on then.
okay, item 119. Council meetings can now be recorded. Does anyone wish to make an additional recording? We are already recording this meeting.
Do you want that bit omitting so you don't go out with your neighbour?
I prefer it to be until all the comments that we're passing today we will put on the planning portal. So I will do that at the most appropriate
So
time.
we'll remove this bit from the beginning.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Well,
If you want to keep it on, it's up to you.
Yeah, but you don't want to give them heads up, do you? Because if they watch this before you put your objections in, it gives them a chance to remove, to counter your
I think this is
objections.
public session and there's nothing to hide, is there? So, and
Well, it depends, do you want to fall out with your neighbours?
I mean, our comments will be recorded
There.
anyway.
listen, I'm open to that. I would prefer not to fall out with my neighbours. It's not within my interest to fall out with my neighbours.
Right.
Yeah? If you think it is, I'll take your guidance on that.
Oh, well, no, they're not my neighbours, I don't know.
but the thing is that if you're going to put your reviews on the planning portal, you might, it's a case of you're going to fall off them, or they're going to be, disagree with it.
We will all go on, you know, it's of such importance to us in our agricultural holding and our land that I will declare my interest and I'll put them on the portal.
Right.
They seem to be wanting to fall out with you by not even talking.
I
Anyway,
think
yes.
we should leave it on
Yes.
there on that.
Yeah.
Alright. So,
Item 120, to accept apologies for absence.
So, as you're aware, we've had apologies from Councillor Blacker, Councillor Brook, Councillor Collins and Councillor Fenwick.
Okay, are we
Yeah.
approving those?
yeah.
Thank you. Item 121, receive members and officers' personal DPIs in items on the agenda. So, has anyone got any? No?
no.
Thank you. 122, to consider the request for new DPIs. Any new ones, Rich?
No.
123, to consider whether items on the agenda should be discussed in private session.
They're not serious.
It's only acting.
Exactly
They've got
what
to
they
start.
I don't think that was an objection.
Sorry, we've nothing to discuss in private?
No.
No, okay. 124, to confirm the minutes of the previous meeting.
Proposed.
Oh, here, but yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't either, but there is one item on there I was looking through, which is not, I'm not saying the minutes are wrong, but
Okay. What is it?
it was, according to the minutes, I was going to report back on the MPPF.
What's the
I
other?
didn't think I was doing that, and I haven't done it, and it's too late now. So if I was supposed to do it, I apologise, but I haven't.
Okay.
Right, do you want it amended if it's not true?
I thought, I'm not trying to stitch it up, but I thought Mary was doing it.
Okay.
It says here, Councillor Black and Councillor Ransby's report on progress with the NDP.
No, it's the MPPF. You remember we had the meeting,
Yes.
didn't we?
Yes.
Now, I didn't come away with the impression I was doing it,
No.
but did you?
No.
Mary's job
Listen to
then.
that man.
This is a meeting that, this is a, like a subgroup,
Yes,
subgroup.
yeah,
This is a working group meeting, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's nothing wrong with the actual minute. It's
Just not him.
It's just,
It's just an idea.
It's always Mary anyway, she does it better than everybody else.
Okay, I will,
Amend that.
right.
Okay, completed a list of planning applications to notes.
Noted.
Noted.
Yeah.
Thank you. Item 126, Kirklees Council new planning applications. New or amended applications received from Kirklees, blah 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 blah. Attachment D.
Are we bringing number 7 to the front as well?
What they get to D.
And I was going to suggest that we propose that we
Suspend funding.
suspend stuff from the orders so questions can be asked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
are we all happy to do that?
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
Right, I've got some questions. Your right of way, have you checked that there is no vehicle access to the right of way other than of agricultural vehicle?
It's a right of access.
Right, but I have a right of access. So it's a right of access to their land through your land,
It's a right, yeah.
yeah, with any vehicle.
No,
Or is it
it's
just livestock?
It's just determined as a right of access.
Right, so they can then,
No, you can't.
Is it a right of access to agricultural land?
Yes.
Does it stipulate right of access?
No, it doesn't.
to-
It's just a document that states right of access, written. It's an 8-foot wide access up a cart track.
Right.
From the road up into that field.
I suggest that you investigate,
I'm investigating.
right, and the solicitor said,
What I've said.
right, okay,
I thought the most telling thing about this was the development in Greenbelt. Now my understanding is, as I think you pointed out, if you're going to convert a barn, then you can do so as long as you maintain most of that structure.
Yeah.
You can knock it down and build another barn, or stable in this case, as long as it's for the same use. What I don't think you can do is knock a stable down and build a house, unless there are some very special circumstances, none of which seem to have been identified.
so I live at Wicken Clough Farm, Edge Road, at the top of Heckworth, have a windmill. You
Oh,
can probably
yes,
see
yeah,
from your house,
Yeah, yeah,
right,
Both on the
You've got the
landscape.
track that goes.
past my house down to Oxley,
Yeah,
yeah, high landscape value, greenbelt. Commercial to domestic conversion. Commercial being that the stables were rented out. So commercial to domestic conversion. If this doesn't qualify as commercial to domestic conversion, doesn't qualify. Agricultural buildings do qualify. Equestrian buildings, even under new planning law, do not qualify. It's a very good stretch. It's a stretch, right? But it's not, my house was a stable block, but I rented the stables out. I bought the stables with a business loan, right? So it was, they were originally past private use. I bought them and used them commercially for over 10 years. I then had them converted. That was not my plan, right? I had to stay in the footprint of the original stable block, no exceptions. Listen to what I'm going to say to you now. The floors must have been concreted for foundations to be put in, right?
Thank you for the heads up.
If you think about a couple of applications recently, there was one, whose name I won't mention, but we wanted to convert a barn into housing. And that was turned down because it required substantial alterations to the barn.
You need to look round the valley and see, there is examples of, I did that, was a genuine application, I do farm that land, I do have a domestic curtilage, I can't build outside that domestic curtilage, I don't do build out that domestic curtilage. It wasn't an erroneous application to sell anything, it was a working farm, everybody's aware of that. But there isn't many examples of other stable blocks in the valley that have been turned into houses.
And I think if you add in the access thing as well.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you do get them when you've got like an established farm and then they've got a block nearby.
Yeah.
And that's kind of,
That's fine.
it's a little bit different.
It's within a curtain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is kind of like
On its
exception.
own.
I went and visited the site because I got a couple of emails off Darryl last week. So I went there on Friday lunchtime, had a nice chat with the resident people here. I'm aware of the site and where it is, but it's probably one of the places where I've driven up there loads of times, walked past there hundreds of times, not really looked to the right hand side and walked up that track. So I wasn't aware of the buildings there for the horses, or I wouldn't even call them buildings, the sheds basically. The sheds and
They have
They're
to be
looking for
established buildings.
so I wouldn't call them established buildings because probably if you had a bad winter, then they wouldn't be in a very good way. But not, they're steady and they're good, but what they do, and they're probably fine for the residents, the people who use them, but they're definitely not established buildings. I wouldn't call them that. So my thoughts are that there's huge issues with the access, which
You pointed out.
I think it's legal. It's a legal means, isn't it? It's a lot more complicated than I understand for the access. I'm not a law solicitor and not a nurse about land or surveyor. But my big reservation is, I think it's an appropriate development in the Greenbelt. Like it's been mentioned before. Like if this was like an established building, like a big barn, like I suppose what you got at Oxley, like some of them buildings like that, and you convert that.
That's not as bad, is it? It's already there.
I'm more accepting of it, and if you had a proper access to it, because the access to this, you've got a bit of concrete at the start where the gate is. The visibility from the roadside you're pulling up, that's absolutely fine, you can't complain about that.
No passing places.
But as you go up there, the driveway, there's no passing places, it's 8 foot wide. Unless you're on a bike, you might want to pass, but no, cars can't do, shouldn't like. So anyway, there's no passing places, and it's kind of a rough track basically, there's a bit of stone down, so you can get up there, but like I say, if you get a bad winter, and it gets all muddy, you can get washed away at times, it's not a proper track for it. It's not, the access isn't good enough, I don't think. And I think it's an appropriate development for the Greenbelt. I know that it's in Brownfield site apparently, because they've got a law that there's a few months ago.
Yeah, but equestrian buildings do not qualify for that conversion. I'm all over that rule. Don't you worry about it, because if it were there,
Sounds like
I'd be
you're my
there.
best friend.
I'd be all over
Joe
that.
knows a lot more than I do about this, because you lived it, but like I say, like my thoughts are, it's totally inappropriate for the Greenbelt, because we pass, there's numerous times we've had applications come through for horse, equine buildings, cattle sheds and all kinds of things like that. And we don't refuse them because we're generally in favour of agriculture and people wanting to use things like that in the area. But, and I won't have a problem if they want to spot up our application to make a better shed there or something like that, or make another shed there beside of it. But it's a house, it's totally different, and it's in the Greenbelt, and there's no exceptional circumstances like what Andy's mentioned. So I would recommend refusal on them grounds. There's highway grounds, because there's legal grounds and what Steve's mentioned and Joe's mentioned and complications and all that kind of stuff. And highways grounds are inappropriate development in the green belt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone have anything else to add?
I think that you need to go away and look at the new planning legislation. If you were an agricultural building and you'd been up longer than 10 years, then fair enough. Well,
Can
equestrian
I
buildings don't
propose
count.
then that we oppose this?
I think
Yeah.
wholeheartedly.
All in favour of that?
All in favour, it's a bit of a stretch, Mr Matthews.
What I would suggest is you contact the Kirklees councillors and make a point with them. Now, if they are supportive, it will go to Kirklees Planning Committee then. And you can do the same again at Kirklees.
You could
Maybe
just
a peer
speak
instead.
to the officer, depends who it is, but you need to go and find examples of that where it's been refused in the valley already, and there's plenty of refusals. And I would find the officer, have them out to site and look at it with them.
Sorry, John, I've actually asked, there's an officer at site, and I've asked for attendance when she comes out to site for doing that.
Yeah,
Because it's my land that's included in the red line.
yeah.
The question of the land ownership and the applicant claiming they own the
Yeah.
land.
They've claimed they've signed this forms.
Well, it's a legal
That's
document.
the
It's a
legal
legal
document.
document, and
You know.
the planning officers.
Have you been in touch with the Kirklees council?
With the council,
The
I'm also
councillors?
concerned at the certificate of legality.
And
Because
once it's given, you can't.
It's
Well,
unfortunately,
if it's fraudulently produced and it includes a red line around my land, and I haven't been consulted or involved in that, it may well be considered.
Did the certificate of lawfulness get through without you noticing that?
Didn't know anything till last Wednesday about anything.
To be fair, there's
Honestly.
no notices up, and we were just wondering, you know, the first time we would know about it was when the first 10-wheeler goes up there, or the JCB.
We didn't know anything till next Wednesday, so I spent
The
24 hours on the internet.
The certificate of lawfulness should have had a note at end of lane,
So,
like a planning
so-
application.
Joanna, here's a question. I've been in contact with Lucy, who's a planning officer. The certificate of lawfulness was done by a planning officer. He's produced a report and it says it was advertised on the 9th of February and for a period of time. Now, we walk our dog up past there and I go into the fields
I
every day.
passed there, I see.
And it's not there. And
I
well,
have to say, we've asked about this before.
Yeah, we've had this before.
You
it's not
don't
for you.
always have to post
They
it.
put one up at the end of my bloody lane.
It's not for you guys to sort out communications. I understand that. I will address that directly with the planning individuals and I will ask for evidence.
It is a difficult one, because my husband's a builder in Elm Valley, and obviously I'm being a bit hypocritical by saying, well, you know, I'm being open and transparent, that is how I got my house passed, but it's slightly different circumstances. It's refused here, you need to go speak to Lucy, she's a reasonable officer.
Do
she's not
approach the
bad.
Kirklees councillors.
I'll do that. Everything that we've kind of shared today will go up onto the portal, but at an appropriate time.
The faster you do it, the more time the officers have got to look at it. And some of the things you can't fix, some of the things in your objections they can't change, so that doesn't make a difference. But the thing is that if they do have a right of way, they have a right of way.
If other neighbouring landowners have got issues as well, it might be worth asking them to put comments in if they want to do as well.
I don't know.
I'll do that. But it's interesting that there's no local residents. I mean, most local residents are at least 200 metres away.
Yes.
They've got a letter through the post. But interesting, because it's landlocked, all the landowners around there have not received any communications.
Yeah, but Kirklees won't know who owns that land.
Yeah,
We're on the land registry.
Yeah,
I'm sure
yeah,
you
but
can
do it
do
after a
this.
stretch.
Oh, is that too much to ask them to
Well,
look at?
the access to the land registry, unfortunately, costs money, and Kirklees won't have.
So that they don't do that.
They
don't
never
have
have.
that.
I mean, I used to be a planning officer, you never did.
Okay. So that's good advice. I've not heard that yet.
You should have put it up on the poll.
But I would have expected. Now I have been in
They could
contact
have
with
put
them.
it up on a pole and they could have cut it
Well,
down.
there isn't many polls near there. So when I looked at that, I was looking where they've actually stuck one. And And they could have put one on your gate, but then I don't know if they'd have the rights to even put it on your gate because you might object to having it on your gate. So I don't know where they could have done it better though. Let's just say it.
They've actually owned up to me and said, we won't stick it anywhere until they've had the site meeting, and they've not yet had the site meeting. Yet we're considering this planning now, today, before the site notices potentially have gone up. It kind of seems a bit like horse between cars. I shouldn't have mentioned horse, should have written, but, you know, it kind of seems a bit backwards, and therefore, if they don't come out until mid-October, the dates by which comments have got to be put in is kind of shorter and shorter and shorter. And as I say, a frustration for me is the fact that we wouldn't have known about this if one of my neighbours hadn't just kind of sent me a text.
My advice would be to have a long conversation with Lucy Taylor.
Okay, thank you.
And
No,
we
thank
would
you
have
for your
refused it anyway.
No, thank you for your comments, I really appreciate it, and thank you for discussing it and open
Sharing your
being open and
experiences.
transparent.
You just look at my planning application and it's all there, it's not hidden, is it? You can go back right.
So all
Councillor Ramsey,
past
go back.
applications are there to be viewed.
Okay.
Can we
And the
throw in
certificate
the
of
wording
lawfulness was because I
what-
forgot to say
what I would
to
like
accept
to-
some
Talk a bit about inappropriate
I
development.
think
Am I saying, what am I saying about the access? It's just access issues, not saying anything more than that.
Yeah.
It's not wide enough. There's no passing points.
The access issues.
And there's
Am I mentioning that whether it's the access to the debate about the ownership?
Yes,
Am I-
I think the question is,
Incorrect ownership statement.
I should have been on the application form, I should have been identified on the application form, which means then there's a means of communicating.
And also,
it's probably a
inappropriate
reason why you wouldn't include it on that.
Inappropriate development in
It's not
high
for me to
landscape,
suggest that.
high value greenbelt.
We also have a holding number as well, which is.
Oh, they don't know, they don't even know.
Are we dismissed?
You are welcome to stay if you want.
I know.
We finished at 8 o'clock.
I really appreciate you spending the time and being able to.
Well, you know where we are.
We-
No, thank you so much.
We actually value it. You know, we really
I
value
couldn't
people
think.
coming in. members of the public.
Well, now we know Civic Hall.
I know you've invited us, we'll always be here. Thanks very much.
No, I have done, but for some reason I computed Huddersfield. Don't ask me why, I was eternally grateful when I realised.
I can't wait for the Civic Friday night discos to start. I was 16. See ya. See ya.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
It
For what it's worth,
is a stretching application now. The irony of it actually is quite amusing.
for what it's worth, Patton said support it, but she didn't realise about all the conversation about it. So.
Yeah, but when the certificate of lawfulness came through, I said to you, if this will go through, we can't say anything about it, that'll be the next step.
I got the email through. We got planning on some Tuesday, didn't we? So I saw it and I had a quick look at it then, and I thought at the time I'm not sure about this because it's where it is and the shed's been there and just right in the middle of nowhere just by itself. So I did reservations about it, and then the next day I got the email from him about it. So when I saw it, and then you learn more about the story, don't you?
In fairness to Kirklees, they've been fairly consistent with Greenbelt applications. So,
Yeah.
well,
The thing, mine was it was a different, do you know what I mean? It was a different way of travel. It wasn't the way of travel. I wanted
There
to
are
go through
exceptions, aren't they?
Yeah.
One way or another.
But the thing
They're
is,
few and far between, and there have to be exceptional
but as
circumstances.
Joe said, the government have actually acknowledged the difference between agricultural.
and the
use
question,
and
it's true, have you seen that policy?
Am I making that point?
Yes, because
Yeah, I think you showed that in
it
the
has to be, if they'd have gone, I would have gone. If that was me, I would have gone equestrian building, knock it down, put an agricultural building in, sit on it 10 years.
So if it was a barn, it would be fine.
Yeah.
But because equestrian is more like a leisure thing.
Is that what they went wrong with? If
Even
got law
then,
on if it was for a barn or an agricultural building and they would have got away with it.
Yeah.
Even then, you have to convert the existing building. It's largely got to be the
It's
same.
got to be the same, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a higgledy-piggledy on that side.
Yes, it's.
So you'd have like 1 bedroom, 2 and 3 story, 1 kitchen.
Anyway,
You had
Yeah.
Number two.
burglar joining it.
Number 2 on the list, 3 Greenway in Honley, Fortune Domas, it's in a conservation area. Thoughts on this one?
I know number 5 has complained about loss of light, and actually proving loss of light is a fabulous equation. And judging the distance from this building to the garage, they would not be able to prove loss of light. You could probably put a brick wall up about a yard from someone's window and still not prove loss of light. People equate light with sunlight, and the two are very distinct in legal terms. I don't see a problem with this.
I didn't, I mean, although it's in a conservation area, you wonder why, don't you?
Yeah. I think this is an accidental boundary.
The only issue to me possibly was the garage, but you'd have to keep the flat roof.
Yeah.
I believe I've just said.
Yeah, I know you're a lover of flat roofs.
And I suppose they could make them do that if there is this
Yeah.
loss of light, they could make them keep the flat roof.
I mean,
It's actually
the
look
flat
pretty
roof
impressive,
is,
isn't
the
it?
flat roof or removal of the flat roof is just additional expenditure for the client.
So, approve,
Yeah.
support, so-
Support, yeah.
And number 6, 26 Greenhill Bank Road, New Mill, again, green belt. This is one that they've had some pre-advice on.
I found it a strange description, the change of use of resident. I mean, it's within the curtilage of the existing property.
This,
If it's in the domestic curtilage, there's not.
Yeah, I mean, mine just doesn't say erection of extension.
this has got a bit of a checkered history when you look.
Yeah.
They had an application in 2022 which was approved. The previous one in 2020 refused. We actually supported the 2022 one, so they have got an application approved. And we're into this situation, and I hate it where they've established a fallback position there. And there's sort of, you always get the feeling you're being held to ransom. If you don't let us have what we want to do, we're going to do something we don't want to do. So I suppose the real question is it better or worse than the permission that we've got? I don't think it's any worse.
I think we should approve it.
That says it looks okay, support.
That says that's what we should approve.
There's plenty of space for it, isn't there?
Yeah.
And it's not like different track, isn't it? We do see that when you're building so many different tracks, there's only so many lines you can have, isn't there? And this will increase the footprint. I'd imagine there's more bedrooms, won't it? I don't know what.
No more bedrooms, he says.
You know, the neighbours' comments were on the grounds that it's greenbelt, not domestic curtilage, but they've already got planning
It's in
permission.
Greenbelt though.
So that argument's gone.
Domestic, it might be a big garden, but it's still a garden. It's like,
I find it difficult to find sufficient reasons
you can't really, it
to
doesn't matter what,
recommend refusal.
you can't really, it's going to get passed anyway, isn't it? It's their domestic curtilage, if they want to dig a great big swimming pool on it, it's going to do, isn't it?
Support?
Yeah.
Number 7 we've just done. Number 8. Home Farm Wilshire Road, greenbelt again. First floor, rear gable extension.
Extending over and it's the flat, an extension already done.
I thought this was pretty unremarkable.
Yes.
The thing is,
It's going to make the master bedroom a bit bigger, and that's it.
Same footprint.
Yeah.
creates jobs in Herne Valley, approve it.
Support. And number 10, interesting one, Northgate Mountain Honley. This is a listed building in the green belt, so I'll just tick off.
We mentioned this morning.
Yes,
I
we
mentioned it this morning.
It's change of use to a holiday let from and it's a huge residence.
Big
at the moment.
B&B,
Yeah.
a big Airbnb.
The thing is though, everybody knew, I was in Home Affairs last Friday. Was it last Friday? Friday before. And everybody was travelling in from Leeds, Halifax, to see that show at the Picture Dome, some rock band. Denby Dale, you know, when you're chatting to them, Leeds, they've obviously not come on public transport, because there isn't none. So they've all like drove in. There's clearly a market in the Home Valley
Yeah.
for B&Bs, and you know, at least,
This is out in the middle of nowhere, sort of
Yeah.
thing.
yeah,
It's
you
not
know what I
really
mean. I
saying
think if it's a big residence in Log Park, they'll be able to walk into a first, won't they?
well, probably, but yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, all right, you could argue the loss of £1–2.5 million house going out of private occupation, but
It's not going to solve the
It's
house.
I won't
not
be
gonna solve that,
buying
it's a problem.
one, so it's not.
you know, and it will provide income, tourist income. I don't see a problem
I
with
think we should move to approve.
Support it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. I think I'm on to 6.
Is it 1, 2, 7?
Right, well,
1, 2, 6,
Oh,
there's just another thing. At a previous meeting of the planning committee, the committee resolved to trial a new approach to reviewing planning applications. Committee are invited to feedback their first impressions of the new approach, which is what we've done tonight, the new approach. There would have been 12 applications following this new arrangement, that came down to 5. Thoughts?
We got through them in about 10 minutes. If we had gone through them all, we'd probably be another 15, 20 minutes. It's probably less admin for Rich. We've approved them all, apart from the one in Edward. So, and most of the other ones we probably would have approved anyway, so I don't think it really thought it was alright.
Yeah. I mean, it's sensible, I think, particularly as a lot of the time Kirklees values our opinion as much as a single local resident, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. Well,
I
because
don't-
we bring like lots of local knowledge, don't we, and local rules, and like in that situation, local examples of what has gone before. And don't take this the wrong way, Councillor Rainsbury. The planning office now, well, there isn't anybody that were there 5–6 years ago. Do you know, everybody, Teresa Harlow, amazing planning officer, gone. Do you know what I mean? There's just no experience there anymore, and they don't bring with them a wealth of rules. I remember once speaking to Teresa Harlow about something. I bought some land on the cliff and I was going to build a house, and she went, "We're not building any artificial stone, and we're not having any of them horrible tiles." And, do you know what I mean? So all that's gone now, and you just knew when you were talking to her about something, as long as you just ticked all her boxes, she wouldn't. And I think the wealth of knowledge has gone, hasn't it? And there's
I
no
genuinely think
experience.
we bring something to the process, or we should do, because we do have that local knowledge, don't we? That is perhaps lacking in Kirklees offices, like you said. So I think it's valuable what we do. I don't see any downsides of what we've done tonight.
No.
I think we'll learn more once we've done a few of these meetings like this, is what feedback we get, and if there's anything that we haven't missed from the other applications, but
What's your thoughts, Rich?
Well, I mean, anything that cuts down your work and I suppose the clerk's work, I think is good. It's, as long as you're comfortable that you're doing everything you need to do in terms of your remit for the people of the Home Valley.
I had a couple of thoughts, and no more than thoughts. Where we're not making a comment, so in other words, the other 7, what are we going to feedback to Kirklees? Have we got like a standard paragraph? Refer to Kirklees officers or something?
I have no idea.
I think we should say something, not just leave it blank.
Probably just say no comment, don't you?
Just, we can just say no comment.
no comment, refer referred to Kirklees officer.
Yeah, because that's what you would normally do
Yeah.
anyway. In, you know.
I didn't want it just to be,
No, I think that's fair enough. Yeah.
otherwise I might think.
Yeah,
Is this
I
the
think
first-
it's a generic phrase.
Is this the first time you've done this?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, right, okay. Well,
My other thought was, would it be worth asking the planners for some feedback, given that we're only giving them a relatively small number of comments now?
Do you
We
email
never,
the
ever
officers
get the
directly and say this is what we think, or do you just add it to the planning portal?
we email to like an email portal,
Does anyone
but
know?
it doesn't go to a named person. It's DC dot Kirklees or something like that.
I can only think of once in the time I've been here that we had a comment back, and that was from Peak District. And actually, I thought, wow.
Someone's actually
somebody's
read
read
it.
what we've said.
I-
I've never known KPs come back and say, we don't agree with what you're saying, or we do agree with what you're saying. And challenge it, nothing.
I think they do read it and take it on board, but like,
Where's the evidence for that?
but they come to their own decisions, and
Yeah.
if you read their decisions, they always give their evidence why they come up with their decisions. And you might not fully agree with it, but at least they try to back it up, don't they?
It would be just nice to occasionally get something back from them that said,
Yeah.
we've taken on board your comments.
Yeah.
I don't think, no, we've never had anything like that.
I've never had anything.
But like, I think that sometimes, like at committee meetings, they do read out what our decision is and what our thoughts are. So they are aware of it, what we're thinking and what we're advising them of.
So like,
But then they might ignore us and come up with their own decisions.
if we agree, I think they just think fair enough and ignore us, and if we object, I think what we do say does matter. When we object, they take notice, because then, but if we don't object, I just think that whatever.
I just wonder whether it was worth asking the
I
question.
was told by a planning consultant, a very good one, that I used a long time ago, you need the parish council. You might think that they're not relevant, but they are. So, what did you used to think?
I didn't get involved in everyday planning applications, so
There's a
I
nice
thought
chapter
Parish
council there.
Council didn't cross my
Oh,
mind.
Well,
We were
answered.
more interested in what
Commercial, eh?
historic England or people like that were thinking rather than the parish.
Well answered.
Well, do you want a question to planning then? And if so, what would that
Well, why
question
don't you
be?
take that example of the one that we objected to and spoken to the neighbours about? Go message Laura directly and ask her what her thoughts are on the parish council, because we're asking for individual feedback.
You know, it would be just nice, in that example, if they came back and said, yes, you're quite right on that point, but you're wrong on this one.
I tell you something, if
Which seemed
if
wrong.
that application goes over the line, it really has come to dogs, and I'm going to get loads of applications. Well, the going's good.
Perhaps I'm hoping for something that will never happen, I don't know, but I just feel as though
I think there's
it
no
could
harm
be just
in
disappearing
saying-
into
There's
a
no harm
body.
in asking, but
Yeah.
obviously we're particularly interested in that item,
Mm.
so it'd be worth asking the officer,
I'm just thinking, yeah, if we're only feeding
have you
back
got this
five,
feedback, what did you think about it?
Come on.
Okay.
Laura,
Lucy Taylor's the
Lucy
case
Taylor.
officer.
Yeah, Lucy Taylor. She's actually very good.
But
She's quite young.
what they say, and what they say in their reply, and if it's actually truthful or not, I don't know. Maybe I'm not being very nice.
You'd just like to know that
They are a
somebody's actually
public
read it.
officer employed by the council, they're not allowed to lie.
Mm.
Neither are police officers or NHS stuff.
Should we move on?
Okay, let's move on. 127 Peak District National Park Authority, I don't think there's anything to say, there's...
So for number 2, the trial's going to continue basically.
Yes.
1262 is the trial to continue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes. 127, there's nothing to say, is there, on Peak District, we've not had any applications. 128 traffic calming.
Oh, I would like to say that the SIP has moved to the right side of New Mill and it's very effective.
Okay.
What, which one do you mean?
The one that comes down from my house
Alright.
into New Mill.
Yeah, yeah.
It's outside Barnaby's nursery.
Yeah, it's been for ages, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've come down that road recently
Alright,
and noticed it.
Yeah.
But it's a really fast road that, and the amount of people that put themselves into walls or cars down that road is unbelievable.
No, it is good that one actually, yeah. And I've noticed because I drive that way on the way home from work, and the amount of cars you see in front of you are braking and slowing down when they see it, and it makes you think, oh, we've done good there with that.
Yeah, no, I
Well,
follow
good.
some people.
I have asked
from the-
the engineer now for a list of where they'll.
I thought you were going to say a list of cars that break the
No.
limit. I thought that was
Come into that. You know, for Humberley South and Humberley North, so we know where they're going.
We don't have to spot them.
It was interesting, the two seed information that we've been given,
Yes.
that the Greenfield Road one into Home Firth, where over 40% of people are going in excess.
Yeah, that'll be the same. I bet that's the same coming on the A616 from.
But I mean, yeah.
I actually think it's
the
quite
city-
disturbing this because
42%.
It
20%
it
of
was
them.
quite a way past, it was quite a way past the 30-mile-an-hour sign.
and 20% of them were actually speeding, could have been done for speed.
Yes.
And this is outside the school.
I think
Yes.
you're coming down a hill there, and it's going from national speed limit down to.
That's the problem when you come in from
If people are going too fast, coming down that hill, and then they're not braking as soon as
But the road's narrow, and you've got parked cars, and you're coming up to a strange little crossroad.
I'd just like to say that I have said this before, that Sid, you can't achieve 20 miles an hour down Dunford Road, never mind it.
No, I mean two exact opposites.
Yeah, they are very different.
But that's because there's parked cars all the way down Dunford Road and we've got to squeeze
I
through.
think the difference is quite often you see this with a lot of residents, like in areas where you're quite close to the road, they go, slow down! And I think these people are going too fast, but quite often it seems like they're going faster because they're closer to you. Where, so people like, live near there, will be saying people are frustrated all the time. Where they're probably going at the speed limit, but it's just like they're closer to where the people are, or it seems closer when there's more cars going back and forth.
It'd be interesting to see how many times out of all these vehicles in the 3 months that the Home Moss and Woodhead Pass were closed for wagons and high winds in that 3-month period. Which you can get that data from the Highways Agency.
I think there's a couple of follow-up questions here though. I mean, one is, because these are now officially speeding, you've got to have more than 8%, and there's 19%. This is supposed to be action now by West Yorkshire
Well,
Police.
they've acknowledged that this one meets the criteria
Yeah, but
for
where does
speed.
it-
That was February to April, the dates are on top there.
Who does this
Yeah.
now? The Kirkland.
Defenders.
Please inform the police, and the police then.
Why is it so late, this data?
We've been asking for it for ages. That's what I was going to think. Because I was thinking, like, is there any more data? Because this is like these are not even our SIDS. These are the Kirklees ones. So I'm actually interested in
What our SIDS are
yeah, what our SIDS are doing, and is there any more data? 'Cause, like,
Really?
this is old.
Yeah, clearly. Did they give you a log on?
These just got sent to me by Joanne.
And this
Right.
came from Moses, I think.
Yeah, my quick.
And I think that, I mean, the information has always been there, it's just not been supplied to us.
And nobody's doing anything about it.
Well, I think there's a couple of questions here. Do Kirklees now inform West Yorkshire Police and they come out with a proper speed camera? Has that been done? What's happened in the past? Because this camera's been here before, and you can bet your bottom dollar if they're speeding now, they were speeding then.
Yeah.
So what happened last time?
Can we ask this question from Moses Crook? And if he doesn't come back with an answer, I can pick it up with West Yorkshire through my crime group that I do and ask the PCS of
Well,
those.
I think
I mean,
as
I
well,
feel very strongly about this one. It's outside the school, my school.
I think this one though, it says it meets the requirement threshold required for a community van.
Yeah.
So that's a police van, isn't it? It's big.
Yeah.
But
But last time we had to provide them a labour.
it's up to the police whether they do this. I assume.
But have they been
Well,
told?
actually, I shouldn't say that word. I would like to think that they pass this information on to their police, and the police would act on it and put a van outside there. But the police might not act on it. They might not get the information passed on to them. We don't know, do we, all the details? So we've got quite a few follow-up questions about this, haven't we?
Yeah.
So we could ask maybe, ask for more data. Like I said, this is quite old. This one here is 6 months old, that one's even older. So it'd be good to see what the data is for the summer ones and our SIDS, and to regularly get this. And also, I'd also interested to know if it was passed on to the police, and if they acted like and put a ban up there at all.
I mean, if it's been passed to the police and they've done nothing about it, then
What's
it's
the
another
matter?
argument, isn't it? We're going to West Yorkshire Police and say,
Well, we give them money, don't
why
we?
aren't you doing it? You've 20% of vehicles speeding outside of school and you've not done anything.
Well, it'd be interesting to say if they hadn't done it that we publicised it and said we'd be disappointed, then they won't like that, then would we? But the problem is that you've got to remember that you might not like the answers.
Yeah.
But I think it begs the question, I think we should demand that
Something happens.
Kirklees supplies us with all the data
Up
as
to
soon
date.
as soon as it's becomes
Well, this is
available.
clearly a live channel.
I don't think we're ever going to get that.
Well, we pay for it.
The arrangement is that Councillor Crook
Yeah.
provides this when he gets it.
No comment.
Well,
How quickly he does that.
we don't know if when he gets it, but don't we? He might have only got this 2 weeks ago. We don't know. There's still some more questions.
Yeah, I mean, why highways can't just send the clerks that
Don't
information?
know that. I've had that argument.
So what am I doing? Am I
Asking
going to
for-
Moses Crook? Am I going to Moses Crook to ask if it had been referred on to West Yorkshire Police?
Yeah.
Is that where I'm going?
You're asking
And
Moses
also
Crook
ask-
for some up-to-date information. What's he done with the information that he's got?
Yeah.
Right, because he's the Kirklees councillor, and he was in charge of highways at the time of this. So has he raised it onto West Yorkshire Police to get a speeding ban or whatever? You can't be speeding outside of children's school, that's proper offside.
Yeah.
And then asking for
What's
some
their
more
response?
up-to-date information.
Okay.
And if he's got a problem with that, tell the council allows us quite happy to do it.
We should also push the planning contractor sending this on, because we've never had anything like this before.
Yeah,
So it is good that we got this, but there's more. Yeah, but it'd be useful to learn a bit more. But it's like I say this one here. So from February to April, there was 278,000 trips on that road there, and 53,000 of them were over the limit.
Yeah, that's amazing.
53,000 vehicles over the limit outside of school.
Incredible. Incredible.
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling, isn't it?
I know. If they had a speed camera, how much money could they make? but no, but I think if there's a speed camera there, people would slow down. It wouldn't. It's true. Or if you had like traffic calming in there. So maybe like rather than like just getting the police van up there, there's obviously a need for some traffic calming there because so many cars are breaking the speed limit and it's near a school. There's something I think that more could be done with this. But anyway.
Just before we leave,
It's good that we're getting this because we can consider these things.
Oh, yeah,
I love starts.
I tell you something though, I reckon the amount of wall taken out of the A616 down into New Mill, it'll be worse than Greenfield Road. It really will.
might be interesting.
Yeah.
Just before we leave SIDS, have we paid for them yet?
No.
It's not after.
So Gemma said that she's been hassled. So council agrees, and Councillor Crook are trying to sort things internally. She's had an email from the service director in finance to say that they are following up. But yeah, no is the answer.
Okay. School parking bollards.
Oh, school's back now, I can go see Gay Edge.
Yeah, I think we all know the history of this, don't we? They don't
Yeah.
want them at Brock Halls.
If you don't want them at Head Edge, Joe, I'll speak to them at New Mill because they might want them there at the top of the junior school. But you go for Head Edge first and see what they say anyway.
I mean, where do we think there might be more use? I suppose is the real question, isn't it? Where is it particularly bad? I mean, they're all bad, aren't they? Schools, but
Yeah.
I've heard issues with people complaining about the parking at the top of the junior school.
NABS always seems bad to me.
But yeah, it is bad up there, isn't it? I suppose the highway, the actual topography of it all's quite bad, isn't it? Well, that's a posh word, yeah. Going up there, it's right steep and it's quite bad, isn't it? So it might be, somebody wants to approach them, they might be interested.
Well, let's see what Ed said first.
Okay. So,
I think the real, well, not the first question, but the question for them is, have you got somewhere to store them and somebody
Yeah.
to take them in and out?
You know, they've just got like a watch playground area.
Yeah.
It's not that, it's when you come up from Lawrence's, Lawrence's, don't you, Trumpets, and you come round corners at top. It's just cars, both
Yeah.
sides of the road. It's terrible.
And they have worked,
They won't vote me
they have
back in.
worked well with Upperthorne School.
And they still are, I went passing the lane, they're still using it.
People sort of see them and say, oh, maybe I was parking badly. And there are a lot fewer cars than these.
Thing is though, they've got a bloody car park here now. And the estate is all of that distance away
I
from
was
the
going to say they've not got far to walk. But hey,
Although, to be fair, they do get horizontal rating. So.
Okay, item 129. Ongoing highways campaigns including numbered roads, green lanes and byways of the whole valley. The ongoing campaigns are Ramsden Road,
Did you see
Captain
those
Road,
cars go down Ramsden Road last
yeah,
night?
well, I saw the photographs of it.
Cheesegate Nab and South Lane. Now if I can group Ramsden Road, Cheesegate Nab and Scaly Gate, which is on there, together. I think probably most of you know I've had a long-standing campaign to try and get a permanent TRO on these lanes. It's finally coming to a head. Kirklees have now published their proposed TRO for these lanes, which sounds good. Except, they've stated that vehicles with a valid permit will be given access.
Well, with a valid permit.
But there's no details about this valid permit. How's it going to work? Now, I do know they've spoken to one of the motorcycle groups and talked about a permit scheme to allow motorbikes to use Ramsden Road. And you think, why would you do this?
yeah,
Why on earth would you do it?
surely that's what we're trying to control.
Yeah?
So what's
Yes.
the thing is though, they're saying responsible, because there is some responsible off-roaders. There is some
Yeah.
that stick to the
Oh,
road
yeah.
and
But if you have a permit scheme, who's going to monitor it?
Yes, fine.
Who's going to decide how many vehicles go through?
Yeah,
Who's going
it's
to lock the
not
gates
what
and
it's
read
hard
on
to get
them?
around.
Who's going to decide whether they're behaving themselves or not? And you know, it's nonsense. The other problem I have with the Ramsden Road one in particular is they've just not done any consultation again. Now they did say they were going to consult with us at the parish council and never have done. Worse still, they've not consulted with anyone that lives in the area. So my neighbour, the gamekeeper, will be trapped inside locked gates.
Yeah, so I
And they maintain that that's not a problem for him, but they never talk to him.
is that Jim?
No, Harry.
So what did they say to that though?
They
Why?
said his access isn't affected.
So did you say to him, but yes it is?
Well, we've told them several times.
And what did
and
they
they
say?
don't-
We don't know what that means.
They just ignore it.
Is this Kirklees Highways?
Yeah.
So what's Councillor Moses Crook doing about that then? No, come on, right, it takes the money, so,
Is this the same thing happening with Cheesegate Nab and Scalagate?
She's getting down the scale here, it's a little bit easier in so much as no one actually needs access to those lanes.
Yeah.
Whereas Ramsden Road they do. Yorkshire Water need access, landowners need access. So they have to maintain access for some people. But why they would open that up to groups of motorcyclists?
is this because of that
etc.
Ramsden Road access group where they're threatening Kirklees because they've shut all access off? Or is this just while they're repairing the road, or is this just
Well, at the
a
moment,
permit forever,
they're repairing the road.
without
Yeah.
asking Yorkshire Water's permission?
Yeah. And they've got a temporary TRO on. Now, in theory, that runs out in the next few weeks. And if they then reopen it, they'll wreck that lane before the.
Yeah, but Kirklees still have to fix it, they're legally obligated to fix it. And what I don't understand is what they don't get. Like, we are obligated, as Councillor Reeves told us, to all pay our council tax. They are obviously obligated at pissing it away. What are they doing with it?
Beaton Northern had to take them to court to actually make them
Oh, it's
pay it.
making me angry, this. It's like levels of incompetence that are unreal.
So they took them to court. Kirklees agreed over the next 3 years to spend £330,000 in repairing the plane.
Yeah, but they're
It's
just
the
going to
first part
waste
of
it.
which they're doing. If they don't get a TRO on it, they might as well not have bothered.
So, what have Pete Northern, and I'm not a massive fan of them, but what have they said they're going to do about this? Do they know about this situation?
Yeah.
And they've said what?
All they can do is, I mean, in reality, Beaton Northern never really wanted them to repair it. What they wanted them to do was to put a TRO on it and close it.
Yeah.
They wouldn't do that, so they said, all right, well, if you're not going to close it, we're going to make you repair it. And that's what they've done.
Do you sometimes wonder if they're on opioids at Kirklees Council? Do you know, like, just not like sucking mushrooms or something? Because sometimes the decisions that they make, and I stand by this and it's recorded, are absolutely ridiculous and such a massive waste of taxpayers' money. And then they wonder why they've got no money.
We've the TROs for Cheapskate and Underpants for Scalegate, and they're just gonna, so they're not all permits, and they're actually gonna close it, and they're actually
I
gonna do that.
believe they will just be closed.
But how about the people who need Cheesegate now?
Well,
Access.
it's only people that
Live on it.
or ride horses. There's nobody who lives on it, I don't think.
No, there isn't. Well,
They do have
there
access
is
to
a
fields.
bit where it stops, and the people that have access to the fields, they've got some sheep down there. But to be honest, with all the problems and all the issues that they get, they're probably just look after the sheep. Like, well, to be honest, driving down there is not very great. Anyway, so they probably herd the sheep at about, they do it themselves, I'd imagine. And I don't know if they really want access to it, and especially once you get to the corner bit where it goes ridiculously bad, you wouldn't look good on there anyway and do that bit.
If I go back 40 years, maybe a bit more, my wife used to take horses up Cheesegate now.
I don't go anywhere near.
You won't get it with a horse now.
It's not safe. None of them are safe.
I want to try it. Imagine when it's dry. I used to walk up there every week with the dog.
You have a job to work up in there.
It is hard work walking up there. It's so steep, especially when it's bad weather and stuff like
Anyway,
that.
what I'm coming to is,
Nothing
much as I
there.
would like a permanent TRO, personally, I shall oppose it on the grounds that what they're proposing is just
Ridiculous.
I would also like, as the parish council, to also oppose it. Now, I realise that's a bit of a crusade for me, whether you guys would like to
So-
support that as well.
Well, I
Well,
think we should
we're
oppose
against
it
the
on the
permits.
grounds of taking the mick.
We're against the permits, that's what we're against, you mean? So people shouldn't have permits to use it.
Yeah.
So,
So the detail of the TRO is,
I agree with them putting a TRO in place, but
Well, they do.
what they're doing is wrong. Yeah, so, yeah, okay, I'll second
Yeah,
that.
we'll oppose it, 'cause it just doesn't make no sense, and they haven't thought it through, and they haven't consulted with anybody.
No.
So I'm not opposed to people using it if there is a proper facility in place, but they've clearly half-cocked it like normal, so yeah.
I shall be opposing it in my own right anyway, so if I draft a letter,
Okay.
is that okay? Okay, thank you very much.
Can we
Can't
also
we-
ask that none of our parish council money goes to fixing that road?
None of ours goes.
That's right. As long as they're pissing their own money, not ours.
Cartworth Moor Road, I think we might as well take this off, haven't we?
Why, is it fixed now?
It's as fixed as it's going to be.
No, they've had 60 grand on there, what are they doing with it?
I mean, they have done some work on it.
Yeah,
But
it's
at the
still,
moment, it's.
So last time I drove down it, it was better than the previous time.
yeah, but that's because Sam's fixed it, not Kirklees.
Yeah.
Says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
DIY better than professionals.
The amount of money he's putting in though, to be shared between Kirklees and Barnsley's is tiny, isn't it?
Well, it's better than, yeah, but to be fair, it'll probably make a better job than Ramsden Road. Take it off there.
I mean, that's just
It
my
can always
thoughts.
go
I'm
We
not
can
sure
always,
that
we can always put it back.
Okay.
And South Lane, I don't think anything's changed. Well, they're
Put some
supposed to
window.
be doing the repair, but I've not seen any evidence of it.
Mm.
So, no progress on that one. Item 130, planning and policy guidance and consultation. Councillors and officers report on any updates received. Anything? No, that's easy then. 131 design code. Councillor Ransby.
Well, we've read back at doing the design, the artwork for the shopfront policy, and I have got from them
A bill?
their quote, which I will give to Rick. They've also included in that print costs for various size runs, and they are, it's all ongoing, and hopefully by the time I get back from France, I'll see hopefully when I'm in France, I'll get an electronic copy sent to me. But yes, it's work ongoing.
Okay.
So is this something that will come out of the planning budget?
Yeah,
You do budget for it, isn't there?
Yeah, we agreed to spend it.
1,500 quid or something.
We've agreed to spend that before.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, please local plan.
You don't need to agree numbers then now, is that something you're doing later down the line?
Yeah, I mean, I assumed that we would agree numbers,
Oh, no.
print runs at a later
Later
date.
date, okay.
But we will, as soon as I get the electronic copy, we'll bring it to the committee for the committee to say, yay, we like it, or not.
Yeah, the cost of tons is not much more than the cost of a few, isn't it? It's like 280 quid for 1,500 and 118 quid for 250.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
because you have to
that's-
set everything up there,
Yeah.
don't you? That's why.
Yeah.
It's always cheaper to do more.
Okay, what have I got to?
132.
132 place standards. Councillor Blackett's report on any updates. I don't think there's been any meetings, so I don't think there's anything to update.
Yeah, she's commented on a couple, hasn't she, but not this particular agenda item. No.
I don't think there's been any, they're only quarterly meetings, so I don't think there's anything.
Okay.
Committee budget.
133 Kirklees local plan review. The committee resolved to form a working group to coordinate the work around Kirklees local plan review and the response from Parish Council. Working group to report on
I'd
progress.
like to say that I'm very happy with the committee will not go forward with the Create Streets partnership. Thank you very much for that. Think that we do enough for people who need to just get a job.
Councillor Blacker said, I suggest that the working group is authorised to set up a further meeting inviting Margaret Dale in preparation for setting up a partnership group with local organisations to comment on the local plan.
I wasn't in that meeting because she could only do it when I wasn't in the country. But I
Do you
go
want to
the
be
next
in
one. Yeah.
That was a different one though, wasn't it? That was about something else, Joe. That was about... That meet, was that meeting that you missed where me and Andy and Mary got together and talked about the planning process?
Yeah. No, it wasn't about this one, it was about the local plan.
Okay, sorry.
I also missed that one, sorry, out of the country, but I wanted to come to this local plan one.
The only thing I would say is, Mary's talking about setting up a partnership group. I'm slightly nervous about it, that, you know, we'll be getting everyone and the dog along.
Problem is, right,
I sort of thought of it the other way around, that we'd perhaps invite people that are interested.
I think my discussions or talks with Mary was that we would be seen to be the lead.
yeah,
Yes.
we're the lead people,
Yeah.
we're inviting them to come and discuss stuff, but we will be making the decisions and they will be making the decisions because they are not the elected party.
And perhaps I'm seeing something that's not there.
Yeah, you are, because that's not happening, I'll make that meeting.
No, the one thing is, we need to consult with the electorate and the people.
We need to know what the people are saying.
Yeah.
Also, we don't need to be told to use an organisation when we perfectly fine talk to people all the time.
I have got absolutely no problem with groups from wherever coming along and giving us their thoughts and opinions, that's fine. But we don't have to take any notice.
No.
do we?
No, absolutely not. Sometimes they do bring things to the table, mostly not.
So are you wanting to be on that working group then,
Yeah.
Councillor Wales? This, the one in 133,
Yeah.
is that a further action then? You probably have to...
No, the 161, Kirklees local plan review.
133.
Why does it say 166 on mine then?
Are you in the wrong minute?
No?
I'm on 133.
Free.
Yeah, put it in there.
Are you saying an evening meeting is better?
Yeah.
That's worth
Because I
considering.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Miserable a long hour.
I think I remember working one.
Yeah, well, you don't work for the NHS where I have not worked apparently for the last
I seem to
20
remember
years.
that.
Hard enough.
Getting up at 6 and being at
No.
work 7.
Oh no, I don't think I ever did that.
It's overrated.
You're not missing much of the pay shit. It's not worth it. And even for the
Okay.
weekends.
Yeah.
134 neighbourhood development plan. Councillors Blacker and Ramsbury to report on progress with the NDP
Mary.
action plan.
Well, Mary and I are going through the various policy statements and trying to track where we are on each and every one of them and how much progress we've made.
Mary said she'll report.
As in we, as in
November.
Kirklees.
No, we as in Mary and I.
She said she'll report in November.
Yeah, it's whether or not, I mean, it's difficult trying to track progress on some because there is none, and because the policies are difficult to identify as set targets, because they're nice
And
policy
maybe
statements.
events have perhaps overtaken some other things anyway.
I think there's some interesting things in that elderly thing.
Oh, well, this is neighbourhood plan.
So Mary said she'll report back in November.
Yeah.
135 committee budgets. So we've still got 12,000 in the EMR, but 10,000 of that's for the 2 seats that we've got for free at the moment.
Well, if that's the case, if we're not looking to purchase any more seats, would it make sense to just leave? Well, there's 10,000 allocated, isn't there? And then, well, we're not getting around to doing the budget yet, but how much should we put in next year? Would it be around about 2,000 or something like that? If the traffic calming things go well, like at Head Edge, like we're doing it on the phone, that's something that we could roll out to other schools in the valley as well. So
You're doing
yeah,
Sheffield
some-
permanent? They've got like proper painted bollards
Sorry, say that again.
in Sheffield.
That's
Around
all.
the schools, they're proper concrete bollards. Obviously they're not very eco-friendly now, they're plastic ones, but I'm just saying. In
I mean,
Sheffield.
I don't think the planning budget is ever
No.
significant anyway, is it?
No.
But we could make it quite a bit less, like if we're not going to buy another seat. Obviously, the money has to stay in there the next time. So I know that Rich has got his thing about earmarked reserves now. We've always heard he's going to be very strict with us when it comes to saying.
Yeah, but to be fair, because we don't want to be paying.
And rightly so, because he's got his reasons for doing it, because the audit people told him to be. So,
It's difficult when we know we've got this to pay, haven't we? And yet,
Yeah, well,
we
yeah.
can't get them to give us.
it's good to have it out of the way, wasn't it, really?
I don't like owing folk money, you never know it's yours, do you, till
Mm.
you've paid it out.
It irritates me, but we're doing what we can, aren't we?
Yeah,
Well, you would think when they're so sodding skin.
Exactly. That's peculiar. Yeah. Well, we've got council, you know, we've got these councillors trying to hassle them about it, and we're hassling their officers, but we're not getting very far.
Should we just note it anyway for now?
Yeah.
We'll get,
What we should just do is divide it up equally between us and then they'll want it.
Well, I said put it back into reserves and then they'll decide they want it.
Yeah, then they'll have to wait for it, they'll have to pay on
Yeah, we can
instalments, you have to wait till next financial year to see if they've got the money.
Okay, 135, publicising the work of Home Parish Council, Deputy Clerk to update on planned activity.
we'll just note that.
The only thing that brings, oh no, it's from FNM, wasn't it, when Jenny and myself went to.
We got the seat from Holland High School in the last meeting, haven't we? So the planning committee's got quite a bit in there.
Can we publicise the SIG data?
It's not our SIDS, is it? When we get our SIDS, I think I'd be more keen to do it, but they're kind of Kirklees SIDS, aren't they?
Who
So
cares?
So that's
it's
not
We
ideal.
don't want to infringe copyright and
How is it copyright? All we have to do is say, have you noticed our SIDS round the Own Valley? This is where they're currently located. Here is some examples.
Yeah, I was
Here are some examples of data that the SIDS collect.
I wonder if it's in the public domain anyway.
Yeah, I'm obviously emailing Mo Crook, so I'll ask him whether that's publicly.
I mean, if it's publicly
transmitted.
available, then let's publicise it.
Yeah, because people will be shamed into not speeding past a school then.
Yeah, and especially the one on
Greenfield Road.
Greenfield Road, I mean,
It's pretty bad,
I think it would be interesting. Yeah, actually, now I think about it, you can put the stats out and say like 55,000 people speeding near the school during this time. This is why we're putting these SIDS up and like, why it's costing us this money. And you kind of justify what we're doing. And
We're trying to slow the traffic down.
And-
It's like me when I say to people, don't walk your dog off a lead up your field, otherwise I'm going to shorten the path. So you can only just breathe. And then it's that person's ruined it for the rest of you. Stop speeding past the school, otherwise we'll get a camera and you'll all be pissed off. That's what you have to do, isn't it?
Is there anything else that we think we should be publicising?
No, nothing from tonight.
Is this SID one that tells you what speed you're going then? And
Yeah.
people are still speeding?
You see, a lot of them do actually slow down, so these are the ones that
The thing
fail
is,
to slow down.
the thing is, you come from my road, it's a 60 down between Millwich, it's a 30, and you think, ooh, still not doing 30, slow down a bit.
No, but the thing is with that one is you get to you get to the S bend by the red line, and you have to really slow down there because there's parked cars on the left hand side, so you can't really go around that much more than 30. We shouldn't go over
And also, all along that road
Very
there, you
careful.
shouldn't really be
There
doing
was cars parked down the left hand side, and then there used to be Costa's van there as well, which was sticking out. So you couldn't really go very fast there, but people. So I will be interested in seeing that data when it comes back about that one.
Yeah.
And about the other ones as well. I think it's really interesting seeing the data.
Well,
Well,
given
as
that-
long as it's not 18 months old when we get it.
Well, this is the trouble. I mean, that first position, when did that go? About April.
Yeah.
Yeah, a long time ago.
You know, we still haven't had anything. It's already.
I think we need
out of
to
date,
speak
isn't
to
it?
somebody in highways about it because it is
Okay.
quite bad really, and before we pay the bill we want a
I
log.
will try to, I will try to go straight to highways.
If you want
As
to,
well as
Unfortunately, the way they've
through
set it up,
council.
it has to go through the ward councillors. So you can speak to highways, they won't give it you.
Okay.
They have to send it to the ward councillors.
yeah.
Ward councillor has to send it out to whoever.
right,
So
so
on
what,
this house,
why,
it goes to-
why are we speaking to
Moses.
Moses Crook then? Why aren't we speaking to Jane Rowland?
We could speak to both.
Well,
It's
Steve,
just
you
that-
get on with
Yeah.
Jane right well, don't you?
Historically, Moses has been the one that's.
Yeah, well he's obviously far too busy self-motivating.
But
Just
on
ask
Valley
Jane.
North, it's Charles and.
Donna.
Donna and.
Someone else.
Someone
Is it?
Tony
Someone
McGrath,
else.
yeah.
So just ask Charles.
The thing is,
So
the
we've only had that camera in, well, it's still in place, isn't it? So there's no-
the ones that are in, they might be in Eltham, we don't know where they are. I don't know where the Eltham ones are.
So I'm a bit lost with what I'm doing now. Am I still going to
Yes.
Mo Crook?
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
still go to
And
Mo.
you going to Castle Drive?
And I'll speak to Charles Green.
Well, how about CCing Jane about it, anyway?
Well,
Yeah,
no,
it's
that's the
probably
thing
best
about
when it comes
it.
from the
Because
office.
if you do that, Virgin will go, let Moses deal with it. We want answers. We can't wait for Moses.
I'll contact James. separately.
I'm going to contact Charles anyway. Don't take it like we don't think you're going to do it. It's just that I am not going to do it nicely. There will be a difference.
If you don't give us the data, we're setting go on to you.
Assertiveness, not polite.
Yes, I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.